Welcome back to Teenage Nightmares, the place that drags you deeper into the world of the unknown. In tonight's chilling tale, we'll hear from Garrett, who's going to share his terrifying experience with us. So get comfortable, grab some headphones and some snacks, and enjoy a Teenage Nightmares original. I should have stayed home. Hello, my name is Garrett, and I want to tell you about the time I was almost taken from my mom at a McDonald's. It was close to Christmas in the year 2003. My mom and I were on our way to grab a late dinner. It was around 8:30, which was later than usual, since we typically ate around 6:30. But that night was different. My mom had just gotten off a long shift at the hospital. She worked hard. I understood that, even as an 8-year-old. So a late dinner was no problem. And honestly, I wasn't going to complain. Fast food sounded like a win to me. I could still remember how heavy the rain was that night. It was coming down in waves. I loved watching the raindrops race each other across the window at every red light. Everything felt normal until we pulled into the McDonald's parking lot. It was mostly empty, but something, or rather, someone, stood out. There was an old man standing by the entrance. I couldn't explain why, but something about him instantly made me uneasy. It could have been his blank stare, possibly the menacing look on his face, or maybe just everything combined. Whatever it was, I knew one thing for sure. I didn't want to be anywhere near him. I tried to tell my mom, but she brushed it off. She told me I was being mean and said he was probably just a homeless man who was hungry. Then she did something I really didn't expect. She suggested we offer him food. I shook my head and told her it was a horrible idea, but she didn't listen. The first thing she did before we even stepped inside was ask him if he was hungry. He said he was. So she smiled and told him to come in with us and pick something off the menu. He nodded and followed us in. Being close to him only made things worse. I noticed something my mom didn't. He had a knife tucked into his belt. It was one of those hunting knives. And as soon as I laid my eyes on it, my stomach turned. When we got to the counter, my mom placed our order, then turned to the man and asked what he wanted. He didn't say a word, just raised his hand and pointed to a cheeseburger on the menu. She nodded, then added a drink and some fries to it, and paid. For a second, I let myself believe maybe I was wrong. Maybe he really was just hungry. Maybe I judged him too quickly. Unfortunately, that's when I let my guard down. This particular McDonald's had one of those indoor playgrounds, and I always looked forward to playing in it. I asked my mom if I could go, and the timing couldn't have been better. Her sister, who lived 8 hours away, had just called her cell phone. Whenever they talked, my mom would completely zone out, lost in the conversation. So she just nodded and waved me off. But as I started walking away, she stopped me, telling me to be back within 5 minutes, because the food would be ready by then. I nodded and headed toward the play area. I'd barely climbed into the play structure, maybe 10 seconds, when I heard someone else climbing up behind me. At first, I assumed it was another kid, but it was almost 9 p.m., and we were the only ones in the restaurant, aside from the homeless man. A cold panic hit me. Something deep inside told me I had to get out of there, fast. But I froze, spinning around in the tight tunnels, trying to remember where the slide was. It took me what felt like forever, maybe 15 seconds, to find it. And just as I turned toward it, he grabbed me. I didn't even have time to react. Before I knew it, we were flying down the slide and out the back door of the play area. My heart ached. I knew exactly what was happening. My mom had always warned me about strangers. I tried to scream, but the man clamped his hand over my mouth. Panic took over. Then, I remembered something my mom once told me. If someone ever tries to take you, bite them hard. So I did. I sank my teeth into his hand with everything I had and screamed for my mom at the top of my lungs. That made him snap. He yanked the door of a brown van open and threw me inside. My heart dropped into my stomach. As I scrambled upright, I looked out the back window, and that's when I saw her. My mom was sprinting across the parking lot, her phone still in hand, eyes locked on the van. But the man was already behind the wheel. The engine roared to life, and he started to drive off. Luckily, my mom didn't hesitate. She jumped into our car and chased after him. He was driving like a maniac, screaming at me the entire way. At one point, he yelled that he was going to cut off each of my fingers, then launched into even more gruesome details about what he had planned for me that night. I was terrified. I truly thought it would be the last night of my life. But then, something miraculous happened. He lost control of the van and crashed into a ditch. My mom and two police cars that had arrived during the chase were right behind us. They rushed to the wreck and pulled me out of the back of the van. I was freaked out, but I was alive. The man was later identified as Scott Dawson. It turned out he was wanted in 6 different states for kidnapping and murder charges. The police said he had killed over 15 children, both boys and girls, and I was next on his list. He had been watching our house for months. His original plan, according to what he told investigators, was to take me right from my bedroom. When we randomly pulled into that McDonald's that night, at the exact time he happened to be there, he saw it as fate, so he acted. Thankfully, my mom never gave up. She chased him until the very end. And because of her, I live to tell this story. Thank you for listening to a Teenage Nightmares original. Like and subscribe if you enjoy creepy original stories like this.